Hello, and welcome everyone to The Bakery, the best of the best type of podcasts to ever exist, specifically because it is based around a video game. We get special guests every time, and I get to talk for way too long. And with me today, though, is an amazing guest, just like every single one we have, but Tempo Storm's very own Vro is with me today. Vro, how you doing, my dude?
I'm doing great. Should I call you Donut?
Sure. Call me Donut, YungD0nut, YungD0nut, the DZ, anything that's comfortable for you to say, my dude.
All right, got you, man.
So how you doing today, man? What you been up to?
Doing great. I was just in that Hearthstone grind. I've been trying to transition more into understanding Hearthstone so I can do more casting and commentating in that field.
Oh, nice. We're definitely going to touch on that subject eventually, because I definitely was noticing a lot of Hearthstone from your end in the past couple days. I've seen you streaming. It's been very Hearthstone related, but we'll get there. Not even going to touch that just yet. For right now, let's do a quick introduction for those of you that are watching my stream right now that have maybe never even heard of you. Why don't you do a quick introduction? Who are you? Name, your tag, what's your age? All that good stuff.
Gotcha. Well, the basics. All right. So my real name is Kerry Zhang. I am 27. My tag is Vro, VRO. I have been using this gamer tag for maybe 15 or so years. It started back in World of Warcraft when I wanted to pick a new name for my rogue, and I looked up in a book for high school. We were reading Dracula, and I just saw this word, and it was Vrolok. So that was my name, and everyone in WoW called me Vro for short. And then when I went into Super Smash Brothers, I thought you had to pick a 4-letter or less tag, and everyone called me Vro. Right, so I picked Vro, and that's me. That's
actually so awesome. I don't know why that thought never even crossed my head, that like when you go to like your first tournament, you have to pick a tag, the 4 letters or less. That actually makes a lot of sense, though. Did you when you first entered tournaments, would you always put the Vro tag above your character name as well?
What's funny is I didn't see it too much. Sometimes I would put it a V because I was in high school I was a big fan of V for Vendetta, of course.
Oh, okay.
I never was a big fan of just putting my big name over myself. I never was one of those guys.
Gotcha. I gotcha. I figured since you were saying the reason you picked it was based off the 4 letters, but that's really cool. What did you say it was at first? Vrolok, you said it was?
Yep, Vrolok, and I guess it's Latin for the word demon, or maybe some other thing.
Oh, that's pretty sick. I'm definitely going to take your word for it. I know about as much Latin as anyone I could go ask on the street randomly, so definitely can't say I know much of that. So, where are you from exactly? You're from Chicago, correct?
Yep, I live downtown right now, and I've lived in the Chicagoland area for my whole life. I've lived in the Chicago downtown area for about 8 years now.
Oh, that's actually crazy. You say you've been playing Melee for about 15 years now, you said?
Yeah, so I've been playing casually since it began, right? And I said I picked my tag 15 years ago, so that was like when I was in WoW. I've been playing competitively since 2007, so it's coming on 11 years now.
Okay. And what was it that, like, how did you even get introduced to Melee?
So Super Smash Brothers 64 was just at somebody's house, and I had seen commercials for it, and I really wanted it, and eventually I got it, and I played it, and it's instant addiction when you play a game like that. And when Melee came out, I remember begging my parents for a GameCube. I wrote this detailed letter explaining how important this game was and how they needed to buy the system for me. And when I got home from school, they bought it for me. It was the most amazing thing because I never asked for anything. Yeah. And so I played casually for many years, and I remember, dude, that long after my friends stopped playing it with me, or people were interested in playing it, people were basically waiting for Brawl at that point. I was still playing like the one-player modes and like other things very casually. I just loved the game. And my younger brother eventually in like 2007. Yeah, so I joined Smashboards in summer of 2007, and like leading up to that, my younger brother, he's 6 years my junior, right? So like at the time he's like 12 or 11 or whatever. He's on YouTube, and YouTube is new at this point. I don't even know how to use YouTube that well. And he shows me perfect control and these other like task videos, right? Oh. And so I watched these with him, and then I started watching other like people uploading competitive Melee, but like I thought they were tasking their matches, right? Like, this is, like, really random players. Like, this is, like, Dyna Dash, a Samus from Florida that doesn't even play the game anymore. Right? Like, I was like, you know, like, oh, he's super wave dashing, he's dashed. Like, this is all, like, task matchmaking. Like, man, this
can't be real people.
Well, at first I was like, this is a lot of dedication to do, because, like, tasking perfect control was one thing. It was, like, an exposition, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, like, I like, look on Smashboards, and I realize, like, how foolish I was. And, the cool thing about it was, like, I inherently liked Smash Brothers in Melee because it was not Street Fighter, right? I had played other 2D fighters, and I kind of liked them, I kind of didn't. I was always a competitive person, but I never liked memorizing combos, I never liked memorizing input timings. It always bothered me, like, there were secret moves, or you had to memorize controls, and they were different between players, you know?
Agreed, yeah.
Fireball between this guy and this guy is not the same, you know, like, so I play Melee, I get better at it, and eventually you learn things like DEI, and, like, the more I read about it, and the more straightforward it was, and the more, I discovered crouch canceling by myself before I even read about it, you know?
Oh, nice.
And it's just exploratory learning where, like, I was casual, and then I read more mechanics, and I implement them, and it was just very fun.
That's awesome. No, I really like it. It's definitely one of the, like, more I figured it out myself and really enjoyed where I went from it type stories, and that's pretty cool. It's rather unique.
Yeah, and then, here's a funny story, actually, is that but even before that, like maybe even 2 years before that, a friend of mine showed me L canceling, and I shrugged it off, and I said I can beat you without it. And of course I did, but I had no idea it was even important.
That's awesome, actually. I always wish, like, I could have been good without any of that tech, but my older brother had my number until I learned how to wave dash away from Sheik's F-tilt. So it was really kind of sad, but, you know, we got there. We climbed the ranks.
Yeah.
So, growing up, you went to college, right? Where did you go to school?
So I went to school at Columbia College, which is also downtown, and it's just, you know, down the block from where I live. During college, I actually had like a small hiatus from Melee. Like, I played Melee really competitively senior year and a little bit in the summer, and then freshman year while I was in the dorms, it was kind of hard to travel and do that, so I kind of just relegated it to one-player training, and it was tough for me to find ways to get to tournaments. It would be a year or two after freshman year of college. This is freshman year was 2008, 2009. Before, like, I started, like, going to local tournaments around the area, like, once a month, and maybe, like, regional tournaments once or twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a starving time back then.
Definitely. Was there no scene at your school at that time? Nothing to really grind on?
Nope, there were no players. I was the best. I would teach friends casually, and, you know, they wouldn't want to, and then Brawl came out, and everyone's playing Brawl, you know? And then...
Oh, wow.
Traveling was a little tough. I went to Pound 4 and Pound 5. I think those are the only two nationals I went to during those times, and there's no net play, there's no...
right.
I mean, really, Twitch was not even around then, right? So it's like, it's just combo videos. You look up combo videos, you look up guides, and you read and you type on the boards.
So you almost had the PPMD, where you're just not really going to so much, but you're still learning the game by just the review and the analyzation and all that.
Yep.
Damn. See, I still can't imagine getting good like that. That seems like the most amount of work to ever have to put onto yourself for a game, and I envy that that style of being able to analyze more videos than you end up playing. And then the solo grind is always amazing. Did you, when you were in college and you had that solo grind, did you make yourself like practice regimens often? And if so, like how often would you edit them?
So it really is just a product of like time, man. Because like I get what you're saying, like, that you envy people that can have that dedication, but at the same time, man, there's weeks upon weeks of time where I'm not playing another person, so it wasn't as so much as like I was that dedicated. There was a lot of dedication where it was like 2 or 3 hours a day of me like practicing on bots and like reading and doing random stuff, but it was also just like a desperation to just play the game at any means possible, right? And
Sure.
You grow naturally if you are the type of player like I am, where like I remember also in freshman year at that time I was really into something called Shoddy Battle. It's like a Pokemon simulator, right? So like with that type of game, you have to do like 2 or 3 times as much reading as you do playing.
Oh.
Because there's hundreds of Pokemon in different matchups and teams, right? So yeah. I've always just been that type of guy where like I'd rather understand things before I play them fully, or explore as I play, and then that kind of translated into how I view tournaments, right? It's more exploratory and never too much about like pride.
I gotcha. Well, that's really cool. I really like it, and I'm glad to see it's progressed you to where you are now. So I guess the question that would lead from that is, what made you want to even get better and start traveling to even more events, to the point where now, like you're almost, I don't actually know this for a fact, but it seems like you're at almost everything Chicago has to offer with Melee.
Yeah. So in Chicagoland, a lot of people nickname me like the dad of Melee there. I run all the tournaments there, and I'm the most active player. So it wasn't really until about 3 years ago I decided to take my Melee competitive career more seriously. Before that, I had only gone to like 1 or 2 nationals. And right around the time where I was in like this really big transition period, that's the best way to say it, yeah. And I didn't know what to do for work. I didn't know what to do with my life, and I had stopped playing Melee, kind of. And during this time, I picked up Melee again. I didn't, it's almost like a bike, right? You don't drop that stuff. And I started connecting with more people, and I noticed that I could host tournaments in Chicago. Like, I'd hosted tournaments here and there, and at this point in my career, it's already been like 6 years of playing Melee. 6-7 years of playing Melee, right? So it's like, this is kind of just me being myself. And I started Melee every day around this time, right? And I started hosting bigger events in Chicago, trying to scale the events up in Chicago. We never had like big 100-person events, really. And it was around this time that I also decided, like, the best way to scale Chicago up is to also go to other tournaments and meet with these players and see what tournaments are like, and also expand my role myself, right? I couldn't see myself being a bigger TO in Chicago alone. I had to become a TO at other events as well.
That's really cool. I like that. So you started branching out and hosting, or not hosting, but being a TO for more events. If you can even remember, what was the first tournament that you helped organize that wasn't? Actually, no, screw it. Just the first tournament you ever organized.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of questions there, right? So, like, the first one I hosted, at the smallest scale, is like just my mom's basement, right? Like, it was like a weekly in my mom's basement on Saturdays, and then I like raised $1 every week from every player, like the venue fee, right? And that venue fee went to a pop bonus at the end of the summer towards like this church tournament we ran.
Awesome, yeah.
And so that's like the small scale stuff, and that's what I mentioned before I got into what Melee Everyday is now, right? So Melee Everyday's first tournament was Rubicon. We started this series called Rubicon, and this tournament series was actually super influential in that a lot of tournaments after it copied its formula, right? So the formula was you create a consistent tournament, consistent in timing, right? And other aspects. So like mine was monthly. Right, so every month I flew in a top 50 player. right? So it was a very strong and attractive player that came in every month to a venue within the metropolitan area of Chicago, right? So that was another requirement I had back then, which it had to be in the city. So I host these tournaments, and for a long time, man, I'm like scraping by. I'm not making too much money. Like there are some tournaments that are red, there are some tournaments that are green, and it's really just tough. But as I said, during this time I'm hosting, I'm also traveling to nationals for the first time, like very seriously. And this is when I started committing to Melee every day as a full-time thing, right? Melee every day started because I didn't know what to do as a job, and I looked at Melee, right? And at that time, there were like 5 or 6 weeklies in the Chicagoland area, and I would go to every night. I'd go to a different weekly and earn between $50 and $100.
That's pretty nice.
But I mean, gas money, my time, frustration from losing, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your rent money and your day-to-day living to be based on whether you performed, for first or second necessarily.
Making your living off of a game that, sometimes it's even a gamble.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is largely skill-based, right? We look at this PR and the rankings, right? But it was a tough life, and there's a lot of adjustments, and there was a lot of harsh realities, growing with Melee every day. But so I go to all these nationals, and then the first one that it really helped with was probably pound 6. That's actually funny. That's I mentioned pound so many times.
Yeah.
Because what ended up happening is a funny story that I entered the venue the day of. It's like a 2-day tournament, right? I entered the venue the morning of Saturday, and I see people filing in. I see the tournament's basically going, right? And I misread my pool time, or my pool time changed. I'm not sure what the truth was, but I thought I was at noon, but I was at 10 a.m.
Oh.
And another thing that was crossing my mind was, why are there 10 a.m. singles pools? Like, how many blocks in the day do you have? Then you have to make them start at 10 a.m. Anyways, I'm in the venue until 10:30, right? Missing my pool. And then I go out to lunch from 11 to 12.
Oh, no.
And then I come back, I'm I come back at 11:30 or something, all ready for my pool.
Yeah.
And I look it up and I'm like, oh man, my pool is going on right now.
Oh,
and I go over to the TO desk and they're like, yeah man, you've been DQ'd. I'm like the first or second seed. Why didn't anyone do anything? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? I am just gonna help you. I'm just gonna help you guys out. So I just put my controller down and I sat at the TO desk and I helped out. And I mostly helped with stream running, and I eventually did that at every major I did. And to quickly describe it, stream running is looking at the live streams going on and making sure that they have content lined up as their current content is finishing off.
Right.
So you want to work with both the stream and the tournament, because the tournament has expectations to finish on time. Right, depending on their blocks or whatever's going on or their scheduling. So I eventually do this more and more. I do this at CEO, I do this at Shine, I do this at lots of different tournaments, and this was my foot in a lot of big majors to get free venue fee and maybe even a bed in a hotel room.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think a lot of people need to definitely get on that as well. I think that's something that's very underrated. Having someone be there to help making sure content is constantly on a stream rather than a BRB screen for an hour and a half. That's always it's always the worst feeling in the world to jump into.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It's both for the spectator at Twitch, and it's also for the tournament runners, right? Because there have also been tournaments where they try to shove too much content on stream and they fall behind.
Yep. Yeah, and then things just get mismatched, and match thinks that it's happening or it didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people get mixed up. So shout out to you for helping out with all that. I'm sure Pound truly appreciates it.
I got to mention one third aspect, and that's one of my specialties right now, is so in all of this, right, I mentioned that I wanted to work with top players, and I always fly in these top players to my tournaments, right? And being a stream runner, I was able to interact with the top players very easily, right? I'm the one telling them when their matches and stuff like that,
Yep.
right? And so one final aspect I gotta mention about stream running is there's a third party. There's the stream, there's the tournament, and then there are the top players. And there's a reason that it's so important to acknowledge the top players is because they have unreasonable expectations for them compared to other normal tournament players. And when I say this, of course you can counteract with top player privilege, right? But so like a top player will be asked to wait for their match to play on stream, right? And they wait for 20 or 40 minutes, and then eventually the person's like, oh, we messed up, you actually have to play off stream now, and your next match will be on stream or something, you know. And so like the last aspect of stream running is like player expectation, right? Especially with VIPs, you want to make sure that they will get an accurate idea of when they're going to play, and that you have the foresight to not like schedule wrong or make them wait, or you know, have their player experience be poor.
I like that. It's a good thing to lay it all out, make sure people can understand these things, and I definitely agree with that. I think sometimes it can be misconstrued too, and like sometimes I think I could see a TO or something like almost overdoing it and maybe pushing for the top player type stuff, but it's always good to at least acknowledge the fact that like it is important. You gotta keep it in the back of your mind whether or not you want to do it or not, but it's a big deal.
And that's how I became friends with a lot of these guys and invited them, you know, just making sure they knew I was a good TO at nationals, and I would be a good TO at the regional level.
Right. Awesome. What was the first major that you actually attended as a player?
I think it was Pound 4. So it was Mango HBox Grand Finals Puff Dittos.
Right. Yeah. Good times.
That was back when Mango was still developing his tech skill.
Right. And even back then, were you the Marth main that you are now, or how did your character choice come about?
So I actually started at the beginning of this journey with Falco. I saw Bomb Soldiers videos and PC Chris videos, and I was a Falco player through and through. And you know, going to Smashboards and reading frame data and like looking at numbers and transitioning between the stances, so like shine, jump, squat, all this stuff. That kind of attracted me. Eventually, after 3 or so years, I just kind of picked up Falcon, where I was just in a friendly rotation. I picked up Captain Falcon, I saw how to use him, and I was like, you know what, I actually know how to get punish game off of him based on what I see. Right? I learned how to tech chase, I learned how to get some aerials into knee. And then the final transition was to Marth, because my Space Animal matchup was very weak as Falcon. This is long before 20GX, right?
Yeah.
So I picked up Marth, and then I eventually stopped using Falcon entirely at Big House 4, which was like 4 years ago. Damn, that's a long time.
Yeah, man. I mean, this game is almost like 16, 17 years old. I mean,
yeah.
I can only imagine how some people that have been playing it for more than 10 years look at some of their events and things they've done. Do you still break out the Falco or the Falcon every now and again at tournaments, or you strictly stay with the Marth at everything? For
tournament play, the last time I picked Falcon was when I was getting wobbled so hard and choking so hard at Evo that I didn't know what to do.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise it's strictly Marth in tournament every matchup.
Who did you play at Evo? Who was that?
So the beginning of Melee every day is me losing to Dizkid Boogie, and then losing to another Ice Climbers right after called Tuesday, where I just got wobbled, and I thought I had mental composure, and then I just lost it. Like I couldn't jump, I couldn't L cancel. This is like,
it breaks you.
This is a veteran player like forgetting how to play the game, So it made me look at Melee differently, and not even a month after that Evo experience, Melee every day was just me going to weeklies every single day, like examining my weaknesses, practicing, changing.
God, I almost want to apologize and like give you a hug. It feels I totally know the feeling, man. Ice climbers they just hurt you.
I'm better now against them, right? So.
Well, we take that. We definitely take the anger and push it towards something good. So glad to hear that at least. I hope to make that same adjustment one day. But anyway, so as 2018 is now approaching, we are about a month in. Nothing too special has happened other than, Eagles win the Super Bowl and and winning Genesis, which was amazing. But as that's said, we also have the MIOM Top 100 that was released. We had you coming in at 104, just outside of the top 100. Still so much potential to show, and I'm excited to see where it goes from there. But then, as the fall season wrapped up last year, you also ranked third. I'm not sure if like a winner PR has been officialized or finished yet. I wasn't able to find it anywhere, but if so, I mean, I'm assuming you're still top 3, if not top 2. How do you feel about yourself from? Let's start with 2017. How did you feel of yourself as a player in that year?
Sure. So 2017 was the second year I kind of went to majors and competed a lot. That year I was also ranked just outside of top 100. In 2016, sorry. So 2016 was the first year I really went to majors. I was ranked 102 that year.
Okay.
And then so last year I was ranked 104, and it was really discouraging because I did better at every major that I went to.
Yeah.
And I also was even more divided in many ways, right? It kind of goes into this follow-up. So I'll briefly touch on the fact about Chicago, which is in Chicago, I've always been top 3-ish. It just depends on if Prince Abu is active. He's a medical student who is from Michigan, but doing school in Chicago. And then Captain Faceroll, he's risen the ranks quite fast. It's always funny because I always thought I was very close to him. I saw him below me, then I saw him above me, and then I thought I was close. But
right,
his ranking is so far from mine now, and whenever he comes to Chicago, he does better than me, so I'm always put behind him. He's doing school in SoCal, but he's from Chicago.
Okay.
And then our number 1 is Kells, who I've lived in the shadow of for many years. He's been the number 1 for at least 7 years.
Really? Wow.
Yep, he's a space animal / sheep main.
Right. You've taken sets off him before though, haven't you?
Yep, last year was actually the first year I took multiple sets off of him.
Congratulations. That's pretty sick. We take those. Every small victory, we take those. Past that, now going into 2018, what do you see as goals for yourself just as a player?
So that is actually new stuff that I haven't talked much about, but I am actually retiring from being a competitive player. I kind of touched on this lightly a couple minutes ago, but at majors, I've been going to every major, and I've been commentating at every single one. I've been coaching. I've been TOing. I barely get time to sit down and enjoy it, and I certainly don't get any time to warm up or practice,
Yeah.
The last 2 years, my controller at majors is strictly for tournament gameplay. And even at weeklies, it was that way. Weeklies and regionals, where I didn't want to burn out because I was playing so many tournaments, almost one every day, and I didn't want to do too much. And it really just, majors were different for me. And I was using majors as a tool to connect with others and to confirm I was getting better, and I am getting better, and I thought I'd get it ranked top 100 eventually. It was certainly a goal of mine for business reasons to be ranked top 100. You get better PR, and it's better for certain things.
Of course.
Lucky enough, this year, Tafikins actually wrote up articles all the way up to my number, 104, which is why people even know I was ranked that high. He specifically told me that they wrote it up that high to include me, so that felt good. But
that's really nice.
Yeah,
shout out to Tapo. Good guy, Tapo.
Yeah. It's subjective rankings, and all of my placements were better and very, decent. I placed a lot better than a lot of the 80s to 100 players, so it's just a matter of subjectivity.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely think sometimes the positioning can be a little biased here and there, but I mean, like you're saying about Tapo, I think that's really nice. That's very sweet of him to go to that length to still include those that he totally knows deserve those spotlights, deserve those acknowledgments. And I definitely know that if I didn't even see you in there, a part of me still would have, because I think I even knew about you to a good extent last year when I first considered myself more into the scene than I definitely am now. And to not have seen you in there would have been crazy. I've seen this sunglass wearing Marth at almost every tournament that I pay attention to. So that's that's definitely crazy. But you're retiring now. So when did that decision fully come to light? When did you decide to do that?
So I actually wanted to retire in 2017 after the 2016 rankings came out, but I hit 102, and so I decided to try again for the top 100. And like I said, at majors, I do perform better, and I am getting better, but I'm not dedicating myself to majors like the way I should be if I wanted to be, a top player. And a couple of my friends have helped me go, get over this discouragement, right? Because it's the second year of discouragement. It's an entire year of being labeled a non-top 100 player.
Yeah.
And really, I should have been aiming to be a top 50 or 60 player, right? So that there'd be no subjectivity or no, error in how high or good I was. But
okay.
The good players, right? All the top 20 players know me from stream running. They played me in warm-ups or whatever. They know I'm good.
Yeah, you're no unknown name by any means.
Yeah. So it's like I was never competing that much for that kind of validation. I mean, I was in the sense that I needed to be ranked top 100 for myself and for business, right? Even my Tempo Storm, one of my upper managers of Tempo Storm was like, you could, get your rank up to top 100. And it's like, well, shit, like, what am I supposed to say, right? Like, I felt like I was top 100, but
yeah.
So the short of it really is I wanted to retire last year and focus more on other things. I sucked it up and played. I played at every major I went to, and there were some majors, man, where I did 30 hours of work, and like literally played the minimum amount of matches and still placed the way I placed,
Jesus.
And people will look at my Evo placement as 97th or whatever. Like that's the mar on my resume last year. Well, dude, every year at Evo I have a bad resume, and every year I do better. And at this year's Evo, I commentated for 10 hours, right?
Jeez.
And I get off the commentating floor. I haven't touched a controller. The Evo room is 50 degrees. The convention center is literally cold. So
of course.
I'm johnning for myself, but at the same time, in the future, I should just make the decision to not even play.
That's fair, and I think that's kind of what like anyone would say to you too, because like obviously you look at like top players and they're not doing that, or if they are, they wait until they're 100% done with everything already, and it sucks because those that do like commentating, I know I can definitely I can relate to you on this whole. I love commentating. I think commentary is so fun and so underrated, especially when it comes down to people that actually not only want to learn more about the game while they're watching it, but those that want to entertain while watching the game that they love so much. And when you're forced to make these decisions on, do I go and do this one thing? Do I go and play the game as like warm myself up for a bracket? It's really hard to find this middle ground, and I can totally understand what you mean. And I'm sorry to hear that. It really does suck. But I'm glad to hear at least that your mentality on it seems very clear. You seem very, I want to almost say composed on this idea. You seem very relaxed on it, and I don't know. I could see this definitely working out for a future on it.
Like I said, it's a year coming, and I'm not the only person in this time of their life making this decision, right? Like Phil is choosing not to commentate, right? He wants to play, and it's where your goals are aligned with. My goals right now are not improving that I'm good enough. Like I've always thought I was good as Phil and Waffles and all these other commentators and players, right? But I've never been ranked there, and now it's time for me to accept like what do I want on my future, right? And for me, it's eSports. I want to work in eSports for a very long time, and I've always known, I'm 27 now, right? I've always known I can't play Melee past 30 that well, right? Like I know Hugo's doing it and it's possible, but like I'm not top 100 as a 27-year-old, right? I get top 100 as a 30-year-old. What more can I really do, right?
Sure.
How much longer can I do, right? And I'm not gonna raise a family being a player. I don't think that's my future.
Sure, right? Sure. And nevertheless, this game will be here. This game is going nowhere. This game is still very much alive, at least in my opinion. And if that day ever comes where you're like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna spend more than a day on this game every day and be top 50. I don't give a shit. It's always there and it's always possible. So we'll be here.
I'll agree with you and say that there have been times where I think, you know, there are some days Melee doesn't look good, and then I'll just look at my inbox and there's people requesting lessons from me, you know, and
definitely
to see new people wanting to learn the game and you know, it's an old game, dude. Like yesterday I hosted an Arcadian and I should have banned this player, but I didn't, and he's like the 16-year-old high school player from Central Illinois that just won the tournament. Apparently everyone saw it coming except for me. So I'm like, this kid is younger than the game, and they keep telling me no, he's not, and I keep saying, well, I don't care.
Yeah, no,
16.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
Damn. Is he? Do we like know this kid, or is this just like a?
No. He's ranked. He's definitely. I was kind of wishy-washy on the ban list for Arcadians. I'm like, you know, he's 16. He's not number 1, is he? No. Turns out he's number 1. So.
Oh. It happens. It was still probably a sick tournament to watch. So.
It was fun.
I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit on the list here because we were just talking about the whole coaching thing. So Tempo Storm picked you up. I want to say this was at some point last year, right? This wasn't until 2017, or did they get you in 2016?
It was in 2017. So what happened was right before EVO, I was announced basically before EVO, and EVO was the first time I wore the Tempo Storm jersey. What happened was in 2016, it was the first time Tempo Storm had a Smash manager and coach. And that came because in 2015 they just picked up and made themselves, and then they had Smash in the mix. And so Raging Cherry was the previous Tempo Storm Smash manager and coach, right? So
okay,
he is now working in ESL again. He used to work there, now he's working there again. He wanted to focus on other sides of esports. Yeah.
Okay. And then they picked you up to replace him for the time being. And so what I'm wondering is, did you approach them or did they come to you? And no matter what the story is on that, what was it that made you want to become a coach?
So what happened was Cherry recommended me. I had only met him a couple times, and I had met other Tempo Storm members here and there, you know, via all the majors I had been going to, but he recommended me, and then after a few phone calls and weeks of waiting, they basically transitioned me into his job. And at the time, Cherry's position was actually a little smaller than what mine is right now. It was actually just manager, and he basically was just the interface between management and the players. And and it surprises me that there needs to be this much interface, but the more I explore the company and I'm there, I am two different, you know, aspects of the company. I see upper management, but then I also directly work with players, right? And players only directly work with like 3 or 4 aspects of upper management. Sure. So it was really revealing to me there. And then the second question is, how did I want to become a coach or something like that? Which is
like what made you want to become the coach that you are now?
Yeah, I always thought that'd be the coolest thing ever. Even back in like 2009, I'm playing in these locals. I'd always believed that my brain was better than my fingers, you know, and that's a little arrogant to believe that the only reason I'm losing is because my dexterity was bad. But as I've gotten better and better, I still am helping people better than myself. And I've been also giving lessons to players below my level, right? So teaching both lower level players and coaching players like X and Johnny are things that I've like been naturally drawn to. Just in the past 5 years, I've always liked teaching. That's really the short of it.
That's awesome. Did you, even back in school, did you ever think about doing something involved with teaching? I know I'm going way back now, but even thinking back on college, did you ever think about doing teaching?
I mean, it's always been like in the back of my mind, like I could become a teacher, right? It's not one of the sexy professions that. Well, I mean, I like it, right? But my father discourages me from becoming a teacher because of money, right? So, I've taught English in China, and that is like so amazing and easy. It's so easy.
Incredible.
You just speak English, right? So, but I've always just loved teaching, and I think that when I look back, like the teachers that affected me, you know, and everyone says that, you know, there's always been teachers that like understood you or taught you in a different way, right?
Definitely.
And when you can do this with a game, you know, people are like inherently interested in the game, but only a few people are like inherently interested in like learning or becoming better.
Yep.
Right. And so like think about this, dude. The job of a teacher is to teach kids who do not even inherently like the topic.
Yep.
Like that's the messed up part. Like any person I want to teach inherently already likes the topic. So like I have it that much easier.
You already almost have a bond. Yeah, you already almost have a bond with that person.
Yeah.
Damn. Jeez, you're blowing my mind right now. I'm going to school for communication. Now it's like, damn, I do want to teach. But I totally feel that. Sometimes, though, you got to think, like, would you rather enjoy the thing that you're spending your life doing or be making money? And unfortunately, a lot of the time, you got to say, I need that money.
Yeah.
But hey, man, if you can somehow do both, that's awesome. So I mean, good on you for that. And so when did let's do this first. When did you start doing lessons for people? Because I know that's what you offer, right? It's I think it's like a $20 thing. You do Discord, you do NetPlay or analytics, whatever it is you do. When did that start up?
So I started doing NetPlay in the last 3 months. I had never even played a NetPlay before that. And you know what's funny is I started doing lessons around that time, right? I specifically got NetPlay to do lessons, and I had done lessons here and there live before with some people, just, you know, on my stream to try to see if it would be interesting. And then someone actually reminded me that like 4 years ago I had started doing lessons at a weekly as well. And I remember, yeah, of course I was. I was doing these little 20-minute lessons for $5, and no one bit. It was hard to get people to bite.
Yeah.
And I just remember that I always wanted to teach people because there were so many things that like lower level players just needed their eyes open to in a very direct way. Yep. And the unfortunate part is like people don't classify it as this way, but like really a lot of people only improve through sparring.
I could agree with that, yeah.
Right, and
definitely like, not by just watching all the time and reading. Sometimes you need to play the game against someone and be told, look, what you just did right there is very, very bad, or what you did there is very, very good.
Yeah, and for different reasons, right? And most people are just playing friendlies, which is just sparring. So that's it, right? I really wanted to teach.
And so getting into the whole teaching thing, how many people do you think you've taught so far, if you even have a number to it?
I actually keep a list, but some of these are repeat students. So since I started NetPlay, let me pull up that list real quick.
Sure.
The first lesson I gave was 11/27, so it's like after Thanksgiving, right? And I've given 47 lessons.
Wow.
So it's not enough to pay my rent just yet, but it's enough to feed me.
That's awesome, though. I mean, congrats on that. That's a lot of people, at least even showing like they totally trust your opinion on things. They trust your insight. And that alone, like, that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's really cool, dude. Well, congratulations on that. I hope more people continue to do that. You guys can always head over to his Twitch stream, twitch.tv/meleeeveryday. Find out more information about that. We'll obviously do a plug at the end of this, but for now, just definitely going to put that out while we're talking about it. And guys, trust this guy. He's a good coach. I can vouch, especially being not one of those students. So being the coach that you are, though, does this, when you're trying to coach, let's say Axe or let's say S2J, when you are coaching them, you're helping walk them through certain things, does this put any form of pressure on you as their coach to the player? Like, you don't want to misinform them or anything like that. Does it put a little bit of pressure on you?
Yeah, for sure. And since I'm so new to being their coach, it hasn't even been one full year, right? A lot of the beginnings of my coaching experience with them was just becoming better friends with them. I had worked with them over the years through being a TO, through inviting them to my tournaments, playing with them directly as teammates or in friendlies or in tournament. And we were, friends in that way. I've housed them before even, but to really become their coach and to trust them and to have them trust me, a lot of it is steps at a time, right? I'm not going to tell I'm not going to tell Axe how to play the game because he's, ranked 7 or 6 in the world, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is ask him questions and see if he can ask me questions, and we create some sort of a dialogue, right? With Johnny, it was a lot easier. I understand Falcon very well, being that I've played him, and I think he is not a mysterious character in any way. He's very direct in how you can be good with him. And also with Johnny is that our personalities are a lot more similar than my personality with Axe. Okay. And I have been lucky to stay in the same room as Johnny a couple times. So one thing I should mention is like how scrappy it was for me to go to all these nationals, right? I'm doing eSports as a full-time thing and not getting paid very well. So one of the things I did was I tagged along in Johnny's room a lot. We each got our own bed, and I would just chill with them. A lot of it is like the not talking, right? It's not like I learn about his life that much. It's just like me getting a sense of who he is and like what makes him laugh, what makes him work harder in bracket, what does he look for, what makes him smile. It's all these like little things, right?
Yeah.
And the more I work with him, the more he's like willing to listen to some things, or we exchange ideas. And with Johnny in particular, I've done video analysis where I go over a video, I like write stuff out, I make Giphy cats of like what he did, what other people would do, and try to help him visually or story based.
That's awesome. So if you were to say between the two of them, you relate more with S2J and probably you feel like you do a little bit better coaching with S2J.
Yeah. Right now with Axe, I'm still building up that friendship and that understanding of Pikachu. Right now, a lot of it is I ask him a question and he'll kind of like respond and have ideas, and I'll kind of like try to like go along with the dialogue to see if we can go further. A question is kind of like, how do we deal with crouch cancel? And then we'll kind of explore that idea together.
I like it. That's really, really cool. Do you have any funny stories about while you've been a coach for either of them?
Well, just being a coach for them, I can't really say it's funny, just really happy. Like, Wes Balls used to be on the team, and he still likes Tempo Storm, and he likes Axe and Johnny, obviously. So just one fun story. It's nothing funny, but after GTX, just the three of us went to was it like PF Chang's or something? So it was just like Wes Balls, Axe, and Johnny, and it's just friends, just talking and chit chatting about Smash. It's just after the top 8. So
that's awesome. No, that's still a really nice story. That's awesome, man. That's definitely some fanboy's dream out there to get to hang out with all you guys at a PF Chang's.
Exactly right, and it's just the camaraderie. Nothing special about it, but just having fun.
True, and that's at the end of the day what all these relationships are about. We all gotta be friends, and we all gotta have a good time. So let's tie it back now towards the other accomplishments that you've done. You have your tournament organizing, which we've discussed a good amount of now. I think one thing I don't think I've asked you yet was what was your favorite tournament that you helped run? And maybe I did ask this, but I'm not.
No.
I feel like I didn't.
No, we haven't covered it. So a lot of people don't know about this tournament, but it's still one of my favorites for a very particular reason. So Kings of the North 5. It's just like overall, it just was a big success and a very critical tournament in many people's eyes. So Kings of the North 5, 5th iteration, is hosted in Wisconsin, and these guys didn't host it this last year, and they were not going to host it the year before. And the year before, I'm like, hey guys, what are your plans? And they said, I don't know, we might not host it. And I said, can I help in any way? And then 2 weeks later, they said, well, if you run all of it, we'll give you a large percentage of the profits.
On it.
Yeah, basically, I owned the majority of the tournament at that point, right? And they just wanted me to help it run it. And then So that was 2016, and then 2017 there was no Kings of the North. So that's the future of that story, right? Anyways, Kings of the North 5, not my own tournament, but I ran it in Wisconsin. It was profitable. It had over 300 entrants. It had Wii U. It had Melee. It had Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, Marvel. It had Mystery Game Tournament. Do you know what Mystery Game is?
I'm assuming it's where there's just a mystery game.
It's not just that, dude. It's every round is a different game.
Oh,
dude, there was one year where the final game was like, what is it called? Break the Ice. Do you know what
Never even heard of that. No.
No, Break the Ice. Like you take the little mallets and there's like this.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, it's like the board, the cubes, and
yes.
Oh my.
Yes. That was grand finals.
What? Oh, that's painful. No. How does that even work? Do you do like a best of 5 on like?
Yeah. Break the Ice best of 5. So I ran Mystery Tournament in my place. I forgot what the grand finals were at that tournament. I was running so many events, but
sure. It
was just I brought in the FGC into that. I put a lot of pop bonus money into all the events from my own pocket. It was still profitable. Shoryuken wrote an article about me bringing the FGC in. The police were called on this woman at the tournament because she was harassing my TO.
What?
Dude, there's a lot of information on Cool Kid's wife, dude. If you know anything about the Cool Kid's wife.
I don't.
You don't know about Street Fighter, but...
No.
It was one of my favorite tournaments, and for multiple reasons, right? It was profitable. It was a lot of aspects going on. Right?
It sounds amazing. That sounds like that's like everything you could ask for in a tournament. You got fighting games, you got great people, I'm assuming food, profitable, and then you got a random woman just yelling. Come on, that's pretty god tier in terms of a tournament.
And not only that, but leading up to that, I got a lot of criticism because as a foreigner hosting the event and the main people were very like hands behind their back, like leading up to the event, even during the event. You know, they kind of just did their part, and I don't want to say anything bad about them. You know, they are my friends and they did a good job, but they kind of left me out to do all of the promoting, all the decision making, and I received a lot of criticism for spending money on Street Fighter and not spending money on PM.
Can 100% understand this. I know exactly how you feel.
Well,
it's rough.
Yeah. No matter what you do, there's criticism, and
oh yeah,
and it was just I was the one shouldering it all as a foreigner in Wisconsin, right? And it still worked out, so that's why it was my favorite.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, everyone's gonna have haters. Not everyone's gonna love everything you do, but those that do appreciate it always kind of make up for it. I know every person that's ever been like, hey, good job doing this, good job doing that, I really appreciate that you did this. That always feels so much better than that one asshat that's just always like, dude, where's this? Why didn't you do this? Why can't I eat this? It's like it's a paint chip, you dumbass. So anyway, that's pretty cool. I kind of hate now that I wasn't there to win that icebreaker grand finals, because that seems so crazy, but awesome stuff there. I'll move it up to, we talked a good bit about Melee every day, how you're saying when you started that you really played every single day, right? Or it's not so much that you played every day, but you went to a tournament almost every day. Okay, and then so how often back when you first started the stream did you run these tournaments through that stream?
Through Melee every day, we were running maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 at most per week.
Okay.
Many of them were other people's events and much smaller, right? We're talking like 16-person bracket. I can win, $50 for first, $60 for first.
Gotcha. And now we've been using this term "we" a lot. So Melee every day does not only consist of you. You have a partner in this, correct?
Yeah. So my partner is YungD0nut. He is the broadcasting guy, and he is not a pro player. He is a young doc kid. Hey,
what up, my doc friend? Let's go.
And he is a genius at broadcasting and graphic design stuff, right? When I first met him, he had never used Twitch or OBS. Right? He had never broadcasted stuff like this, and now he's streaming majors and stuff. And what it really helped with me was that I had never wanted to be a streamer too bad. Technology, wires, all that. I'm getting better at it now, obviously, that I'm streaming at home. but setting it up each time and being behind the action like that wasn't my thing. And I could handle the stress of running the tournament and organizing it and promoting it and shouldering promotion sometimes, but I couldn't have done it Melee every day without YungD0nut helping me with graphic design, broadcasting, with just being there every day.
So shout out to the Melee Everyday Gimmer. Shout out to the Melee Everyday Spencer. Shout out to the stream homie. Everyone needs one, honestly. I think playing, working a stream, monitoring the stream, and then obviously doing what you were saying before about the whole the stream running, I think is what you called it before, the whole like getting matches on and all that. That's so much for one person. I think you guys got it set with this whole 2-person ordeal. Maybe a third for like the little things here and there, but I like that idea. I think it definitely helps out a lot. People need to look at that more. Spencer and Gimmer, they need some help.
It was a lean operation for sure, man. And there are lots of times where YungD0nut needs more on the broadcasting side, right? Like photography or camera work.
Yeah.
But it's really just been us two. And like I said in this interview already, that esports is a very tough full-time job. It's very lean, and we're not making a lot of money.
It is, but God, you are doing God's work. You guys are helping us all appreciate stuff that we love. So I'm sending you praises, and I know it's from more than one person. So we appreciate it and we thank you.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
And then the final thing on your, and this has literally just been like stuff that people can know this straight from your Twitter bio, but if these people don't already know, the assistant director of Combo Breaker. Now, what did that entail for you? I'm assuming this was not only tournament organizing, but a little bit more than that, if you want to go into it.
Sure. So this is actually a new thing that this year I'll be working together with Rick, the owner of Combo Breaker, to help integrate one of my events into Combo Breaker. So Combo Breaker is this huge fighting game event in right outside the city of Chicago, and it's always been considered one of the biggest FGC events. It's almost like a Genesis or a Shine for them, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that Smash has never grown to that kind of level. Every time and every year, Smash is more like a regional size event, 100 couple people, right?
Yeah.
We've never broken 200. So the goal is this year is that I bring Eden, one of my biggest events I've ever hosted, into Combo Breaker. We're working on how this integration works. Right now, we get a separate ballroom from the Mega Center, so we have a little bit more autonomy in terms of space and vibe, right? We get more production money for Eden, right, because of Combo Breaker. So Eden was a very I can't say low budget because we're in the nicest hotel possible. This hotel costs thousands and thousands of dollars, but there are lots of things I skimped on. I didn't do station cards. I didn't do a fancy stage and screen, right?
Sure.
I kind of went a little lower scale on those ends. So Eden will benefit from that. It'll have other events there like DBZ Fighters, of course. It'll have Mystery Game Tournament, that game we just talked about.
Oh, let's go! I gotta go to this then.
So I'm excited to work with Rick on Combo Breaker, and being assistant director just entails more responsibility from previous years. Previously, I'd been more of a I wouldn't want to say just pool captain. It's like the captain of the pool captains, the guy between the tournament organizer and the pool captains. I was like an upper manager, and now I'm very much like in the head of the teams.
I think it's a fitting name then. Yeah. Let me see here. I think I have the Smash GG loaded up here. It's the Combo Breaker 2018 page for this. So yeah, guys, even if you take a look here, everything looks really sick. They got a preview video. Unfortunately, I don't know if I play it, how it'll sound through the stream. So I'm not going to bother right now. Yeah. You guys can obviously check this out as you'd like. Registration is currently open, it looks like. Closes on the 14th of May, so you have a ton of time to try and plan this out. Look at you got so many reasons to attend. There's free Wi-Fi, guys. Come on. What more do you need? Free Wi-Fi, guys. You can watch all your not safe for work stuff and enjoy some YouTube VODs. You're gonna have tons of games here. You know what? Now that I think about it, actually, Combo Breaker was the tournament that introduced me to the fact that Soul Calibur 2 still has a competitive scene.
Yep.
Because you guys ran that tournament, and I watched that and was in awe at the fact that people still played this game.
There are like over 19 tournaments at that event. So,
oh my god.
If you're interested in a lot of games, especially Dragon Ball Z and any of the fighting games, or Melee, of course, check it out.
Oh, you guys should put Soul Calibur back on. It's not on here.
I think what they're doing is they're finalizing like the last like 8 like miscellaneous games, you know. So like
okay.
It might be like high stakes SoCal 2 again.
Okay. Well, I hope it's in there, because if it's in there, I'm gonna try my damn best to get out there, because I want to play that game competitively.
It's a fun one.
It's so good. I hate that. If I'm not wrong here, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Do you know, like, Link is banned, right? Or the DLC or something?
Well, it's per system, right? So I think it's whatever system they're playing on. That's
right. Because for GameCube, it's Link, and then for Xbox, I don't even know what it is. That sounds right. But I don't know. I've literally been a Nintendo kid. Yeah, we all played the GameCube version. So even if you guys have it, I really hope it's not for Xbox. I'll get destroyed. So I think the last thing that I'm going to touch on here, and this is something that we very, very briefly talked about in the very, very beginning of this whole thing, was you have become quite the big Hearthstone player. But you're not alone in being a Hearthstone player that also plays Melee. We got like someone I've seen doing it, Swedish Delight.
Yep.
I've seen, I want to say another name, but I can't think of one right now. But I've definitely seen other Smash players playing Hearthstone. So for a start, how long have you been a part of the Hearthstone community?
I've been playing since open beta. So closed beta was like right before 2015, right before 2014, I think. Yeah. 2013 was closed beta, where they had like 8 mana Pyroblast and 5 mana Sylvanas and stuff like that. And then I started playing in like January of 2014. Yeah, it's about 4 years ago. And I hit Legend for the first time last month. So it took me 4 years of card games. Yeah.
Congratulations. I don't know at all what that means. I literally know probably the least about Hearthstone than anyone you'll more than likely talk to, but it's still something that definitely interests me. I have friends that play it, so I'm assuming Legend is it's a good thing. It's a pretty good thing.
It's so it's kind of like how it's more than Masters. It's like Grandmasters in other games.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
okay.
The percentile I'm in is like 0.025.
Oh, snap.
And what they do is they stop ranking you in this arbitrary thing, and they give you just the number. So like on North America last month, I was 2,400 or something.
Oh my god.
So you know exactly how many people are below you.
Yeah. Jesus. That's insane. But congrats. I mean,
it's fun.
And so now you're going to start pushing a lot more towards that, from what it sounds like.
Yep. So I made it to Legend for the first time last month. I'm gonna race to do it again. They reset it every month. And the goal for me is to it's almost like another transition period for me right now, where my roommate moved out. So Gino is my roommate, my broadcasting director. So he's moving out. I am going to be moving soon from Chicago. So I'm trying to transition more into full-time esports, right? Melee I love, and I want to coach more, and I want to do more host events and all this stuff.
Of course.
But for me in my future, I find myself just interested in all of esports. You know, I'm watching Counter-Strike, Overwatch. I'm watching Hearthstone playing it.
C9 won the major. That was the other thing in the beginning of this interview I forgot to say that happened. Let's go.
Yeah, that was a sick win as well.
That was so amazing.
I have to watch more of that game, because for me it was just on the background, and I need to sit and watch it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You'll have an amazing time, especially if you find matches with like great commentators that just decide to yell at everything Stewie does. Stewie's a beast. Shout out to Stewie. I'd love to interview you sometime, bro. Please, for a Smash Brothers interview. Anyway, but so you're progressing more into various esports. Is there anything about Hearthstone that you see as a similarity to Melee, or that drew a connection between the two. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I'm wording that bad.
So the best ways I would describe Hearthstone for people that want to try it or want to see parallels in it is that it's I've always been competitive, and if you like strategy games, or there's always been people who like these types of RPGs or strategy games. There are barriers with other ones, like it's not legitimate enough, right? You invest money into this collection of cards, and there's not enough other players. There's no longevity in this. So Hearthstone has this aspect where it's like Melee in that I don't play games that go out of style, right?
Okay.
I play games that last forever. I don't choose to play games that go out of style, right? So I played Hearthstone for the last 4 years. It's not going anywhere. Same with Melee, right? So another thing about it is that you're allowed to play competitive Hearthstone in your underwear, on the toilet, with the same collection on your cell phone as you have on your computer, as I did in China, as I did on the beach, in Florida, right? So it goes with you everywhere. It's not that expensive when you look at card games. It is expensive because it's a card game, but that's what I like about it. And sometimes I, learn lessons like, oh, I have been here tilting. Like, I have tilted before, and tilted in Melee and tilted in Hearthstone. Like, let's breathe and practice the motions of tilting. Like, what do you do when you tilt? You look for optimism. You look for this. So there's minor things to go through, but of course there's no tech skill. So that's the big difference.
Yeah. It's just working that big brain, big brain to read your opponent. I think this is something too that's just I don't want to say it's on the rise, because clearly these games have existed for so long and they continue to exist because of it. But it seems like even Yu-Gi-Oh now, you got Pokemon, Hearthstone within even the Smash community. All these card games are just they're just kind of coming up, and being someone that is now a part of that, in your case, do you think there's a reason for it? Do you think there's this reason that card games are they're just kind of developing more and becoming more of a, hey, you're at this tournament, let's play Yu-Gi-Oh, let's play Pokemon or something? Do you think there's a reason for that?
Well, I always think the cards themselves were always doing okay. There are lots of Melee players that love Yu-Gi-Oh, and they have the cards, right? What I'll say is, in the popular form, or the mass public, it really is just that card games they have presented themselves as better games. And the big example is Magic Online. Magic Online was the first, and Magic is the first, big card game, collectible card game, right? And when they released their Magic Online platform, it basically is just a card simulator. You see cards in their flat objects in rectangles, and you put them in front of you, and there's number counters. And what they failed to do is use the advantage of technology to make your cards come to life, right? So they really should have done the Yu-Gi-Oh thing where you put your cards down and the dragon comes to life, right? And in Hearthstone, there is some aspect of this, and they're gonna present it more and more where the cards come to life. They feel like there's action on the board, right? What you don't want for an esport is flat cards doing nothing, right? We watch poker tournaments. You don't want boredom. Well, poker tournaments are exciting because there's constant. It's like Counter-Strike pacing, right? Where there's action and there's longevity, but dude, you have a computer game. Why would you make the computer game poker? True. Right?
I see that actually.
You can't beat poker.
Laziness can be a factor, but also difficulty.
Innovation.
I feel like the whole making of that seems like that's freaking hard, man.
It is
to make these animations, but they're gonna help in a long run.
Yes, and that's why I think Hearthstone was the opener. It opened the floodgates for people to see people are willing to watch a card game if it looks like an action game.
Yeah. I think that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links in a nutshell right now. I think that game I tried picking that up for a little while. I kind of got bored of it. I don't think card games will ever be my thing again, but I definitely can understand where people are coming from. And I think that's a really good point. The whole visual aspects and the aesthetics, it definitely helped. It brought a little bit of, what's the word? Oh my God, why can't I remember this word right now? When you remember it as a kid.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia, that's the word. It brought back some nostalgia, getting to see like these faces that I remember from the show, and these monsters I remember that would just come to life and just attack each other. It definitely gives it another feel. So I really like that point. I think that's really good. Hearthstone, yeah, guys, if you don't play that game, pick it up. But while you're at it, play Melee. Melee's pretty sick. Have you ever thought about doing coaching for Hearthstone as well, or do you not think you're in that area yet?
No, so like I'm not a top 100 Melee player, and I'm trying to coach. I'm not even a top, whatever player. So for Hearthstone, I'm still learning. The goal with Hearthstone is to not only enjoy it at home, right? I've been streaming it at home over Melee because my internet connection is not the best for Melee. And streaming Hearthstone is just so much easier. But the final step with Hearthstone is to maybe commentate or maybe even host events or work at events with Hearthstone, right? Transition into an esport aspect of Hearthstone.
Right. All right. Well, that's really cool. Hope to definitely see you within that. Have you done like commentary for a Hearthstone tournament before?
Never, not yet. What I'll say is with Melee and with everything is all the things I started with Melee, I started, for free before I knew what I even had the skill set or whatever, And they say you shouldn't work for exposure, but it's like, right there, I'm not working for exposure. I'm working to like build up my talent set. So like, I'm definitely willing to cast any Hearthstone right now.
That's awesome. I appreciate the fact that you even gave me this time tonight. We've been going for a little over an hour, and it's been a blast. I've had a great time talking to you. If you want, go ahead, give yourself that plug. Let the people know where they can follow you, watch you, get to know more about you. Bro. Sure.
I want to say thank you, YungD0nut, for the interview. It's been a lot of fun. My Twitter is @Vrozone, VROZONE. I am Melee every day for the Twitch. It's my company. I do this tournament streaming, or the tournament side of it. My partner does the streaming side of it. So you're gonna look up YungD0nut on Twitter, YungD0nut at YungD0nutUSA, or just @Melee every day. My big plug is gonna be the the National Melee Arcadian. So if you guys ever play Melee and you have never been ranked top 100, you're eligible to enter the National Melee Arcadian, the first of its kind this March.
Is there a Smash GG for that right
There
now?
is. It is SmashGG/Chicago Gaming Co. And the webpage will look a little confusing because there's actually multiple events going on, not just the National Melee Arcadian.
Here, hold on. I'm going to try and load that up really, really fast just so we can even get that on the screen here.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. You guys should check that out. I've been trying to look more into this if I can. There we go. It should be on the screen for you guys right now. Take a look at this, guys. A National Arcadian, the first of its kind. Already 114 people signed up.
Not for Melee. Not for Melee.
Oh, no? Well, awkward. But still a good amount of people are still going to be going there. Here, if you want to keep even talking about it, I'm just going to keep scrolling through the page.
Yeah, sure. So why I mention it is that the main page is like this big type of computer festival kind of page. The main guy working it describes it as like a mini DreamHack in Chicago, and the Melee side of it is going to be run by me, and it'll be the National Melee Arcadian. So if you go to the webpage and you're confused, try to just find the section of Melee. It has all the info. If you've ever been ranked top 100, you are banned, and if you've never been ranked top 100, please come and win. Guaranteed top 16 payout, so if you are in the top 16, you're guaranteed at least your money back. Top 3 entrants will get free entry to Shine, Genesis, or Big House, up to all 3 for the first place winner. So,
what? That's sick!
Yeah,
guys,
I managed
what are you doing not going to this, guys? Come on! That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is just in
March 11th.
Convention Center in Chicago, or in St. Charles.
Yep, it's just right outside of the metropolitan area, and the tagline I use is "One Sunday in spring can set you up for your next 3 seasons. You can go to Shine, Genesis, and Big House."
Wow. Oh my god. Guys, you gotta definitely take a look at this. This sounds amazing. I'll keep doing what I can to try and find a way there. That sounds sick. My only thing I recommend for the BYOC, I doubt you're involved in the BYOC aspect all that much, but if you are, let's get what's it called? Battle Right. Get that up in there. I love that game right now. Screw League.
There are a lot of games going on, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. But
No,
it's like a mini dream hack.
It sounds like it, man. That sounds amazing. And DreamHack's always kind of a pain in the butt to get to and to deal with sometimes. So, guys, make sure you check this out. This sounds amazing. Bro, I thank you for your time. If that's all we got, I think we're going to be signing off here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out Vro at all his stuff. All the links to everything that we've talked about tonight, all our social medias and all that will be in the description of the video file when it is uploaded to YouTube in about hopefully a day or two. And I apologize for delays. We've always had some stream difficulties here and there. But thank you all so much for stopping by. This has been The Bakery. You all have yourself a good night. Take it easy.